They thought he was just another quiet rookie nurse, the kind who kept his head down, moved softly through the halls, and never made waves. No one imagined that beneath the loose scrubs and calm eyes lived a warrior trained for battle, a man whose heartbeat had once synced with gunfire and chaos. And when 10 heavily armed gunmen stormed the military hospital on a cold night in the United States, everything they believed about courage, sacrifice, and hidden strength was about to change forever. Before the story unfolds, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the hidden strength inside ordinary people, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps spread stories that remind the world that light still exists, even in the darkest moments. The hospital stood on the edge of a quiet military town, a place where wounded soldiers, veterans, and their families came seeking healing and peace. It was a building heavy with memories, sorrow, and resilience. Among the nurses working long shifts there was a young man named Aaron Mitchell. He had joined only a few months earlier, earning a reputation as reliable but unremarkable. He spoke little, kept his eyes gentle, and never drew attention to himself. His hands were steady, his movements careful, and his kindness sincere, but no one guessed the depth of his past. To the staff, Aaron was just another nurse trying to find his footing in a demanding environment. To the patients, he was a comforting presence who listened when no one else had time. But beneath that calm exterior, he carried memories that haunted his sleep and shaped every breath he took. Years before, Aaron had been a Navy SEAL, part of an elite team sent into places the world preferred to forget. He had endured brutal training, survived firefights, and lost brothers who had once laughed beside him under foreign skies. After a mission gone wrong took the life of his closest friend, grief and guilt had swallowed him whole. He left the service, unable to reconcile the man he had become with the boy he once was. Nursing became his refuge, a way to heal instead of harm, to save instead of destroy. He chose the military hospital because he believed he could best serve those who understood sacrifice. Still, he never spoke of his past, burying it deep beneath layers of silence and humility. On the night everything changed, a winter storm howled outside, rattling the windows and casting long shadows across the sterile corridors. The hospital was quieter than usual, with many patients asleep and only a skeleton crew on duty. Aaron moved from room to room, checking vitals, adjusting blankets, offering soft reassurances. The calm was fragile, almost eerie, as if the building itself sensed what was coming. Without warning, the silence shattered. The front doors burst open, and 10 armed men poured inside, faces hidden, weapons raised. Their boots thundered against the floor, their shouts echoing through the hallways. Panic erupted instantly. Alarms blared, nurses screamed, and patients cried out in fear. Security was overwhelmed within seconds. The gunmen moved with ruthless efficiency, taking control of key areas, blocking exits, and herding terrified staff and patients into central corridors. Their objective was unclear, but their intent was unmistakably violent. Chaos reigned as people scrambled to hide or flee, clutching loved ones and praying for mercy. Aaron felt the familiar surge of adrenaline he thought he had left behind forever. His heart pounded, his muscles tensed, and his senses sharpened. In that moment, he was no longer just a nurse. Instinct took over, dragging him back into a world he had tried so desperately to escape. He guided a group of patients into a supply room, barricading the door with shelves and carts. Among them was an elderly veteran named Charles, a young mother named Rebecca clutching her injured son, and several wounded soldiers barely strong enough to stand. Fear filled their eyes, and their trembling hands clung to Aaron's sleeves as if he were their last lifeline. He whispered reassurances, though his own mind raced with calculations and strategies. He knew the hospital layout intimately, every stairwell, corridor, and blind corner. He also knew that waiting passively would only lead to tragedy. The gunmen were searching, sweeping floor by floor, and it was only a matter of time before they reached the hiding places. As distant gunshots echoed, Aaron made a choice that would define him forever. He promised the group he would return, then slipped out through a maintenance hatch, disappearing into the labyrinth of service tunnels beneath the building. His movements were swift and silent, every step precise. The years of training surged back, guiding him through darkness and danger. He disarmed a lone attacker in a narrow hallway, neutralizing him without a sound, then used the man's radio to gather fragments of their plan. They intended to seize a high-ranking officer recovering on the top floor, hoping to use him as leverage. If they succeeded, countless lives would be lost. One by one, Aaron picked them apart. He used shadows as allies, turning hospital equipment into makeshift defenses, and confusing the attackers with sudden, calculated strikes. Fear became their weakness, while his calm became his weapon. Nurses who glimpsed his actions stared in disbelief, finally seeing the warrior hidden beneath the gentle caregiver. Yet Aaron felt no pride, only an overwhelming urgency to protect. Each step forward was driven by memories of those he had lost and a burning need to ensure no one else suffered the same fate. The final confrontation unfolded near the intensive care unit, where the remaining gunmen had cornered several patients and staff. The air was thick with tension, every breath heavy with dread. Aaron emerged from the smoke and chaos like a force of nature, moving with a precision that left no room for hesitation. Within minutes, the threat was neutralized, and silence returned, broken only by sobs and stunned whispers. Law enforcement stormed in moments later, securing the building and tending to the injured. When it was over, Aaron sank against a wall, exhaustion washing over him. The weight of what he had done pressed heavily on his chest, but beneath it stirred a fragile sense of peace. News of the incident spread rapidly. By morning, the hospital was surrounded by reporters, officials, and grateful families. Staff members who had once seen Aaron as invisible now looked at him with awe and gratitude. They learned of his past, of the sacrifices he had made, and of the battles he still fought within himself. Yet Aaron remained humble, insisting he had only done what anyone should in such a moment. He returned to his duties as soon as he was able, moving quietly through the halls once more, offering comfort and care. In the days that followed, patients left handwritten notes and small gifts outside the supply room where he had saved them. Charles left a medal from his own service. Rebecca returned with her son, now smiling and healed, to thank the man who had risked everything for them. Each token chipped away at the walls Aaron had built around his heart. Slowly, he allowed himself to believe that he could be both healer and protector, that his past did not have to define him, but could instead empower him to serve in new ways. Just before the ending, I want to ask you something special. If this story moved you, please comment the word hope below. Your single word can become a message of encouragement for someone who might desperately need it today. Near the end of that unforgettable week, Aaron stood alone in the hospital chapel, light filtering through stained glass and painting the floor in gentle colors. He thought of the lives saved, the courage rediscovered, and the second chance he had been given. For the first time in years, he felt the tight knot in his chest loosen. He understood that healing was not a destination, but a journey, one built from small acts of courage and compassion. And in that quiet moment, he promised himself to keep walking that path, no matter how difficult it became. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of the strength hidden inside ordinary people, please take a moment to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your engagement helps these stories reach those who need them most. Sometimes, a single story can change a life, and together, we can keep that hope alive.